Hello and welcome to the third edition of this daily Q&A session on public speaking. That learning curve is steep, my friends. It's the third edition, and in the first two I learned so much already. Hi Raquel, with your friends. Amazing to welcome you back. I had three learnings already. The first one is when you have a chat thing, always keep talking when there are no questions. You see, horrible. Second one I learned, in the chat, sometimes when it goes fast, I cannot follow up on all the questions. So when I don't answer them, just ask them again. Barack Obama didn't say, yes, we can once. He said it 5 million times. You can ask your questions again because there's no one sitting or standing next to me taking track of your questions. That's only me. By the way, there is no question yet. And the third one is, yesterday we said it would be good to have a theme, an underlying theme for this session. Very good. More focus, better outcome. And I decided for today, the first theme to use is authenticity. Authenticity. I've been a corporate coach now for 10 and a half years. I've experienced 10,938 speeches in 10 years and a half. And I can tell you, people have such an issue in public speaking with authenticity. Yeah, but that's not going to be me. Then it's not going to be me. But how do you know who you are? How do you know how they perceive you? You have no idea. So funny. 2 years ago, short intro to the subject. 2 years ago, I'm the MC of the opening session at Toastmasters International at a conference in Berlin. 450 people in this huge hotel in a cool place in Berlin, Neukölln, and there they are, and I'm the MC, and I'm larger than life. After the session, it was a 1 hour session, in a break during lunch, a guy approaches me and says, Florian, how can it be that you're so natural on stage? Natural? I was bigger than life. You see, self-awareness, your own perception, the others have nothing in common. And that is where authenticity comes into play. Do you have any first question for me on the subject of authenticity in public speaking when you address people on stage or in a meeting room, when you stand or sitting? Anything goes. Anything on authenticity. Spanish beer is still good. So the lesson learned is I have to keep talking when there is no question. Awesome. Authenticity. Do you by any chance remember in physics class, in my case, in Northern Bavaria, it was in the 8th grade, we learned about the black box. Do you remember the black box? There's an input triggered by a stimulus going into the, thank you Raquel, I'm right with you, into the black box. Something happens, you have no idea what happens in the black box. Something else, a different output comes out of the black box. I learned that authenticity is an output. You need to put input to get the output, authenticity. Now let's see. If you have to rehearse to make sure you follow your points, Raquel is asking, how do you make sure you're authentic at the same time? If you have to rehearse to make sure you follow your point, how do you make sure you're authentic? If you do not rehearse, will you be any different? If you do not rehearse, okay, we have two options. Public speaking is all about preparation. Have you touched the $100 bill? Benjamin Franklin, failing to prepare is preparing to fail. You must be prepared anyway. Rehearsing is so important. Now, if you do not rehearse and if you do not prepare, it's going to be you on stage, right? Fucking up, losing your text. Oh, no, I forgot what I wanted to say again. Oh, shit. Oh, that's you. But when you perform and say, second point, the second argument is, that's still you. I always say on stage, you're not authentic, you're an authentic performer. And if it were, now you're asking, isn't it the opposite of the other? Opposite means you're Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde, then you would be two persons. You will always be Raquel on stage. There is no other person available in this room on stage than Raquel. How can you be any different? You can fuck up or you can succeed on stage, but it's always going to be Raquel. Always authentic. But of course, there's many aspects about authenticity that are a problem for speakers. And I'm waiting for good questions. And while I'm waiting for the next question, I was still with the output. The black box, input, triggered by a stimulus, black box, something else comes out. Authenticity is an output. I asked for at least 3 years in my teams, average group size 8, couple of hundreds of people. If authenticity were the soup, what are the ingredients to make that soup? 2 of them stick out. 2 qualities that you have to make you come across as authentic. If I told you those now, that would kill all the suspense. So I'm going to wait for more questions. Yeah, authenticity. Do you know that as soon as you stand up on stage and your blood leaves all your brain cells, there's no more blood, emptiness, stage fright. What do you put on? A mask. A mask that says, it's not me any longer. You do exactly the opposite in public speaking. You put on a mask and you're the least authentic person in the universe. It's so funny. Guys, you're 6 now in the call, 5 now in the call. Do you have any question for me on authenticity? It's such one of my favorite topics. I'm so astonished that you're not more into this so far. Authenticity. What is authenticity? Levi's? Paulana? Brands? Apple? What's your brand? Are you an Apple? Are you Paulana? Are you Samsung? Who are you? What's your brand? The mask. As soon as we step on stage, you're a gun. At least that's in my experience, in my trainings. John Zimmer, authenticity is everything. If you can fake that, you've got it made. How can you fake authenticity? I think they fake it in the other way around. I think, let's take the typical mask face in public speaking. The smile. Do you know the smile? John, do you know the smile? And then they say stuff like, I was 8 when my parents got divorced. Yeah, that is super authentic. You were so happy when your parents got divorced at the age of 8. Woohoo! Hallelujah! Let's have a firework, man. Couldn't drink by then, but yeah, no, it was not funny at the age of 8. If you had been 13 and you hated your mom and your dad because they were alcoholics and they hit you, your father hit you every day, maybe then you would have been happy. But not at the age of 8. I'm joking, of course. Of course, I know you're joking. You cannot fake authenticity. If not, well, we can discuss that. Then you're an actor. A good actor fakes authenticity. He becomes another person. If you're not Marlon Brando. Our friend, professional speaker from Berlin, our dear friend Olivia Schofield, she runs once a year, spectacular speaking. We all come together, friends. It's like a family meeting. 16 people, 4 coaches. And she always says, she's so amazing. She says, an actor is being an expert at being someone else. A speaker is an expert at being themselves. But why do you think so many people, John is asking, why do you think so many people are afraid of being authentic on stage? Okay, one aspect. One aspect, because together with John Zimmer, the co-creator of this game, right now available for all our people at home, $1.99. And I will never do advertising online, but it's a great public speaking game, Rhetoric. And we co-created it. And John is also with Connor Neal and others once a year in IESE Business School, IESE in Barcelona. And I've been working for years with them, 9 years to be exact. 9 years with those. I worked with MBAs, I worked with executive MBAs, and I worked with global executive MBAs at this highly renowned business school. Now, MBAs, they're like 25 to 30 years old. Executive MBAs are 28-ish to 35, and global executive MBAs more or less 40 to 55. And we always do exactly the same. It's exactly the same we do. Now, what happens? So we give them speeches, a little change you want to see in the world, like adopt a dog. They have to give a speech on adopt a dog, or use less plastic. Wash your hands would be a very, very appropriate topic right now, don't you think, my friends? And then they give these speeches, 3-minute speeches, and we always do the same. And then we push them to open up more, to become more, to share more themselves. And it's so hard for them. And the reactions, we've been always doing the same. 25 to 30 years MBAs. Executive MBAs, give me more. Global executive MBAs, give me more. And we always do the same thing. I learned, John, what in my experience, that has something to do with majority. I think rhetoric, because of the importance of pathos, of showing emotional transparency, because of that making you authentic, it's so hard when you're younger. And when you're getting older, it's less difficult. But that's one aspect. People are afraid. Okay, Friederike, I know you never would ask a question here. You would make comments. So I will add your comment here. People are afraid to make mistakes. What they miss is being human means making mistakes. Exactly. Great point. Vulnerability. Before in the call, I talked about the authenticity. This call will be online. You can go back if you missed it later on. And I asked for 3 years, if authenticity is the soup, what are the ingredients, the input to make that happen? 2 of them it was. Always, always, again and again. First one, sincerity. You say what you think. When I was at KPMG, 29 years old, the board member's assistant, I'm totally drunk from the night before. And the colleague, you know, these nice colleagues, Thomas was his name, I guess. Florian, was a long night yesterday. No, wasn't it? Those kind colleagues. And then I would say, yeah, man, I was so shit-faced. End of discussion. Sincerity, mega driver for authenticity, and mega driver for charisma. By the way, authenticity makes you more charismatic. And the second one, Friederike, here we go. You said just now, Friederike Galland from Berlin, a great Toastmaster friend. People are afraid to make mistakes. What they miss is being human means making mistakes. Exactly. And that means you're imperfect. Vulnerability, number one factor for any speaker in the world to come across as more authentic is show your vulnerabilities, what you were not proud of. We did a big mistake with this project. It will always be perceived positive. It makes you human, authentic. Friederike, you're waiting for an opening for a question. That's interesting. I started with a short opening at the beginning, and now it's more discussion. Anything that's on your mind. I cannot prime you with your questions, wouldn't you think? Friederike, what is the most vulnerable thing you have ever shared on stage in front of others? That would be interesting to know. You can write it down. No, write it down. That would be interesting. My biggest story I've shared in competitions I share almost always in all my trainings, is a story about my friend Franz. Now Frederica, now you say that we'll online forever. Yeah, what do you think I'm going to do here? It's online forever. Welcome to the new world. Yeah, you see, hiding is not an option for speakers if it supports the message. Anything you share, that is a really important tip. Anything you share, when you make yourself vulnerable, emotionally transparent, you just cannot say it for the sake of saying it. This is show. It must support the message. If it supports the message, I will share my story about Franz. John, see you later. John, see you later. Now, my friend Franz, big friend at high school. 14 years old, bunk beds, skiing trips, talking about girls. Guitar he played. I played the clarinet. Musical concerts at school. Sitting in the room anxiously. Franz, can you play your favorite song? And he played Über den Wolken muss die Freiheit wohl grenzenlos sein. Above the clouds, freedom must be borderless. I do now enumeratio. I do now word. An enumeration, because I don't want to share here the whole story. But my friend gets sick of leukemia. I never called him. Don't ask me why. I never visited him. Don't ask me why. I felt guilty very soon, but I thought, now it's too late to visit. He comes back, sees me. That was his reaction. At school, left. 6 months later, gone. My biggest regret in life. When I talk about, in my keynote speeches, about that you can delegate anything but responsibility. Anything you can delegate but responsibility, you can bet that I will share the story of Franz, because I should have been there for him. It was my responsibility it was. And I delegated it to others, unknown friends in the class. My biggest regret, I always share when it supports my message. Now, this is exactly the moment that I learned after my first, now I'm a 3-day YouTuber. Here we go. My favorite one is how I use modeling to overcome feeling bad in my body and how I lost one of my greatest loves. So Frederica, to make it sure that everyone remembers it forever here in the online community of the planet, my favorite one is how I used nude modeling. Oh, Frederica, this is great. You used nude modeling. Used nude modeling to overcome feeling bad in my body and how I lost one of my greatest loves. That's 2. Is it connected? I mean, the first one is amazing. Have you ever talked about it in a speech? Because that is a great topic. There's Connor Neal, my friend, super leadership guru. Check out his channel at connorneal.com. Now, he's a great blogger, video blogger, super guy. But the N, 1 N and 2 L's, it's a bit weird. Connor Neal. Oh, Frederica, so it was 2 stories. Great. Cool. Ask me more questions, guys. Come on. Now, 8 people in the call. It's all about authenticity. What are the issues? What are the problems? What do you think? Nadine Meisel again. As the outcome of being authentic is very personal, how would you describe yours? Well, by sharing front stories, by sharing that I said, man, was I shit-faced, by sharing sincerity and vulnerability, automatically you will come across as authentic. If I invented that, I would be a good actor. But there's one golden rule. You know the golden rule of public speaking? There ain't no rule. But below that, there are bazillions of golden rules. And one of them is never invent a story. Never invent a story. If you share, when you share your own personal stories, how could you ever be not authentic? It's impossible. It's impossible. Oh, Frederica, you're staying with the nude modeling. I love your topic, your theme here. I love it best when the audience feels they're undressing with me. Can I quote you on that, Frederica? Can I use that as a quote in the future? Connor now asks, Frederica, Connor Connor, I'm right with you. I once had that being authentic let you show yourself as the gods planned you to be. It can be lost and it has to be individual. Of course. No, I will use it because we always say, Frederica, we always say as speakers or trainers, you have to be naked with clothes. That is human, naked with clothes. Connor, you're just asking the top lesson from 3 days of YouTube live. Always keep talking. And it's so difficult. All the YouTubers in the world, how did you do that? Always keep talking. Even if there is no question, even if there's no interaction, I have to keep talking. That's my number one lesson by far in 3 days. Connor's here. Let's address something to come across as more authentic on stage. Because before I said, when you're 8 years old and you say, I was 8 when my parents got divorced, that's your mask that stops you from being human. Take off the mask. Now you have to understand a concept which is for me the biggest concept for more emotional impact. And when you're authentic, when you're real, when you're vulnerable, transparent, open, then of course you come across as authentic. Now I have created this triangle. It's a very special triangle to me because this for me is the secret to have more emotional impact in your audiences. As an authentic speaker, I don't have to mention authentic anymore because for me there's only one thing, which is authentic. And this is what I call the triangle of coherence. Any content you use has a direct impact on the body language you use and the voice you convey. And only if content, body language, and voice are coherent, it matches, then you come across as real, as authentic. Now, when she said, I was 8 when my parents got divorced, this triangle was shattered to pieces. I was 8 when my parents got divorced. No mask. Whatever content you use, happy, sad, serious, coronavirus. Whatever content you use, you go and use your body language and voice in a coherent way. And how do you do that? Well, I hate it when concepts are not mine, which is stupid because what is new under the sun? Ever since Aristotle 2,300 years ago, what can there be new? We cannot innovate in public speaking. Now, but Craig Valentine, he's a former champion in public speaking, world champion of public speaking with Toastmasters International. And he says you have to invite your audience into your reliving room, Go into the reliving room, and instead of talking about stuff, relive it. When you were 8 and your parents got divorced, like with that lady, it was not funny. Relive your stuff. Don't talk about it with stupid masks. Relive it, and you will always be authentic in our perception, our audience perception. Nadine Meisel, could you try to let us feel undressing with you? Well, how do I feel about the virus? Is it fun? Is it fun that Alvaro, 13 years, is sitting now with his mommy in another village, 30 minutes away, and I cannot go there? This morning, we went out for sports. My special Rose on her bike. I was running, come to the village, police control, every car stopped. And he told me, no sports, no deporte. And I said, but this is from tomorrow. Nah, mañana nada. Tomorrow nothing. And he sent me home. Do I feel good? Not being able to take Oliver in my arms? Do you feel good that I might be infected already? One more undressing? Yeah. It's so cool when you just have absolute no mask and you just share everything in coherence, content, body language, voice. That is always amazing. Have I always done that? Nope. I had my mask myself, of course. I hated public speaking. Is here anyone who loved public speaking from the beginning? Any one of you guys remember the first speeches? Maybe a theater play. It's not really speaking, but it's a theater play. 5th grade, 11 years old. Anyone loved it from the start here in the group? I'm so interested in this. And you later in the internet, you can also, on YouTube, you can also comment on that because I want to meet someone who loves it. And of course, then you have the mask. Frederica, yes, and I sucked. How do you know you Oh, Frederica, that we have to explore. How do you know you sucked? Your own assessment, your own perception is more useless than an ashtray on a motorbike. That's a quote I learned from my taxi driver and friend Juan. Originally, the family's from Seville. He's my driver. Right now, he's at home like everyone else in Spain. But he always has these great phrases. More useless than an ashtray on a motorbike. Frederica, we never know that we suck until somebody tells us. I doubt that you got feedback like you get now in life from the start. Alrighty, now Frederica says I was a candidate for student parliament and no one voted for me. Okay, you sucked. You suck big time. That is a very, very rough. This is like when you do. I haven't done stand-up comedy yet. I will do that for sure. When nobody laughs, oh my God. I do carnival speeches in my home village in northern Bavaria. Just did this February. And when there's a laugh and it's supposed to laugh and nobody laughs, direct feedback is always cruel for speakers, but that's how we learn, don't we? Maybe you were not authentic. Maybe you were not authentic from their point of view. So here we go, 27 minutes, 3 minutes to go. Authenticity for me is a result. It's an output of sincerity and vulnerability. There is always this topic with honesty and sincerity. It's not the same, but it's close. I prefer, for simplistic reasons, sincerity and vulnerability. This, when you use that input, you will always come across as authentic. I know that because I've seen 10,938 speeches with average rounds of moderated evaluation rounds of 10 to 12 minutes. I can tell you this is authenticity. Be imperfect. Don't wear a mask. Coherence, sincerity, vulnerability, coherence, and you're authentic. Since you're so active with your questions, is there any last question? Otherwise, I will move on to introduce the theme for tomorrow. Last question, Connor, you must be so good at asking great questions. Now, I know you're good at asking great questions. ConnorNeil.com, amazing video blogger. And you see, Connor, biggest lesson learned. Now, even after 28 minutes and 25 seconds, I still have to keep talking when there is no question. This is my biggest lesson learned. I will never repeat that again. I never do advertising. In my keynote speeches, there is no selling from the back of the room. I hate it. I hate it. Yeah, this was all great. And now, by the way, $2.99. Blah. But okay, personal taste, and I'm not American, and not whatever. But this game here, Rhetoric, the public speaking game, has always been for the last years, available as an app. And if you want to spend the time not only wasting on series, which I also do, on Netflix and Amazon Prime and other consumption areas of your life, then I invite you with my co-founder, co-creator of this game, John Zimmer, to download it. Special price for difficult times, $1.99. Android, iOS. You can learn public speaking while having fun with your family, with your loved ones at home. And this is amazing. amazing educational and entertaining experience. There's no more question here on the topic of authenticity. It's been an enormous pleasure. Once again, round number 3 is over. Tomorrow I decided, that is so cool. Nadine, thank you. What is your call to action for us tonight? Write out your biggest fuck up in life. And I'm talking about a real fuck up. I'm not talking about a business fuck up. I'm not interested in business. A personal one. A personal, real, where you really screwed up in life, like me with France. That is my biggest regret. And write it down in 500 to 600 words, which would be 5 to 6 minutes. 500 to 600 words. This will be an amazing first story, in case you don't have it yet, that you can always use in the future. You can refine it and make it happen for your speak in the future, because that is vulnerability as good as it gets. And that will make you such an amazing, authentic speaker, performer on stage. Tomorrow's topic, how could it be not connected? Tomorrow we enter the world of pathos. Anything connected with emotional appeal. Pathos originally means pain and passion, one of the 3 categories of arguments used by Aristotle to persuade people and move them to action. Everything about pathos is tomorrow our topic. I'm so looking forward to all of you again, and hasta la vista.